What is going on, everyone? Mike Sparacino here, a.k.a. Shades, alongside my co-host, Brendan Mulroy, a.k.a. Mulgoon.
AKA the Big Goon.
Damn right, back with another episode of Backup Blueshirts, and this is episode number 12. Brendan, who are we dedicating this episode to before we do anything else?
Oh my god. I'm trying to think.
Do we got to look up?
12.
Do we have to look up previous Rangers on the good old internet?
Yeah, we're going to have to get back to that because I don't even know Rangers number 12 off. I feel like there's definitely one I'm not thinking of that's obvious.
I mean, I feel like that's every single number, except when you get into like the 60s and 70s and those.
No, but I got like a couple good ones for like the next upcoming episodes.
Oh, baby.
But for 12, I drew a blank. Only because you put me on the spot.
I did. You know what? That is my fault. I did put him on the spot. I really did. We should have pre-rehearsed this.
It's all right. We'll figure that out.
Yeah, we will. So, we got some Rangers news to talk about before we talk about what's been going on in these playoffs so far. What do you want to What do you want to talk about first? AV getting hired by Philly, I mean. Rangers making changes in Hartford.
I think we should start off with the Rangers minor leagues. AHL Hartford going crazy.
So the Hartford Wolfpack have relieved head coach Keith McCambridge and assistant coach Joe Mormina of their coaching duties. So the reason behind that was they said that prospects were not developing as quickly as they would have liked. And considering how bad the team has been the past 2 years down there, and also the lack of development from certain players, new players that just signed their entry levels, I think this is a pretty decent move to try and bring another coach in that's going to develop these players properly, or at least accelerate the development the right way.
This is the second worst season that they've ever had. I read that. I don't know if
I was actually, dude, I was excited for Hartford going into this season. Because I looked at the roster, I looked at all our guys, and I was just like, holy crap, we might do some damage. And then by the end of the season, I'm like, the hell happened?
Yeah, I mean, they were looking for a new coach. They should have just went out and rehired AV. Said no one ever.
Okay, good, because I was on the verge of virtually slapping you over Skype.
But, speaking of, actually, no, we can't even get off the AHL topic. Well, not even AHL, but Rangers in general, because they also... Why don't you take it away, Mike?
I'm sorry, I'm looking at number 12s right now, and I found a good one.
Who is it?
Phil Esposito.
Ah, yes. See, that's just stupidity.
Oh, and wait, Jesper Fast?
I don't remember him ever wearing 12.
Apparently, he did it in 2014.
Ryan used to wear 43.
What happened?
I said, then again, Ryan Callahan used to wear 43. So.
True. Okay, you know what? Just because my mind is on this right now, Lee Stempniak and Daniel Paille and Matt Pumple and Peter Holland were also number 12, along with Eric Stahl. Oh, dude. We had some.
Stahl. That's right. Yeah,
Eric Stahl. We had some terrible number 12s lately.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, Jesper Fast is an exception, but he's not 12 anymore. So.
Yeah, and actually, it's more exciting news besides the Hartford stuff. Rangers finally decided that they were going to sign Kravtsov, right?
Kravtsov and Shesterkin, or Shesterkin. I don't.
However you pronounce it, it's good enough.
Literally, there's two different spellings, and nobody knows the right way it is.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Not even him.
Dude, I don't even know anymore. That'll get resolved when it gets resolved. I'm not going to have a discussion about that. But it is funny to bring up.
But so you think we're going to see them be playing next season or what?
I definitely think that they're both going to be in the mix for a roster spot, but I wouldn't be surprised if both of them start the season in Hartford.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I guess. No, I mean, that would make sense.
I mean, people are bringing up, like, oh, Shesterkin, he shouldn't be brought over to play in Hartford. Meanwhile, he said, like, I don't care if I start the season in Hartford as long as I get playing time. He's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, well, listen, there's no reason. I mean, as of now, Georgiev is still on the team.
Exactly. So that's pretty much the main reason why that's happening.
If the Rangers obviously trade Georgiev in the offseason, then I wouldn't see why you couldn't see him potentially being the backup, but you never know.
Yeah. With
Depends on
Kravtsov,
what the Rangers do with Georgiev.
Yeah, that's time will tell on that. But Kravtsov, I don't know. He's going to be an interesting case. I mean, he's still pretty thin. So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, he needs to put on some muscle. And I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
starting him out in Hartford's good if they get the right coach, get him acquainted to the North American game.
I don't see why he should. I feel like they shouldn't bring him in right away.
Yeah, no,
either.
don't
I mean, he's still young.
don't
I
rush
mean,
the
what
development.
they could do is something maybe like at the end of the season, let him play, a couple games, or maybe here and there. But I just feel like they're in no rush to really, unless they really feel he's NHL ready. I don't see any reason why to really. But then again, I don't know. We'll see how the Rangers season goes next year. If it's kind of like this one, then maybe they'll just bring him up.
Hey, he may be NHL ready. I mean, he was playing in the KHL against men the past 2 years. So
That's
you
true.
never know. But
That's a good
it
point.
all depends on how they can sorry, this is just how tired I am. It all depends on how quickly they can get transitioned to the North American game, which is pretty different from Russia in a way. I mean,
Definitely.
they still lace up their skates. They still shoot some pucks, dangle some people. It's hockey, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what would be the major difference. I guess maybe speed.
Oh yeah,
North American. I mean, you're obviously playing against like the best people in the world in the NHL.
yeah, and I don't know if this is true or not, but
defensive styles or
I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard something the other day. Apparently, like there's no fighting allowed in Russia, or something along those lines, and I'm just like, I did not know that.
That's interesting. I did not know that either.
Yeah, so please do not challenge Ovechkin Kravtsov when you get over here, please.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that in a
we'll come
second.
back to that. You'll know. Oh, by the way, before we move on to the other thing that I wanted to talk about, I got 2 more number 12s, Don Maloney and Eddie Olczyk.
Oh yeah, that's right, Eddie. Oh my God. Yeah, we're slacking.
Yeah, so
See,
we're dedicating
we look
this.
terrible.
Yeah, we're dedicating this episode to a decent amount of people.
So well, you know what happens is that I just think new school with these numbers. I don't
Same.
think old school. So
Right,
that's
dude,
my problem.
I started watching in 2011, so you would know older players better than me number wise. So
Yeah, I slacked off on that one.
all right,
But it's all right.
yeah. I mean, yeah, we're
Well,
we're
you know what it
22.
is?
We got to
I always try
pass.
to bring up like random Rangers that have that number.
Yeah, you try to
That's
be
another
funny.
thing.
You try to be funny with it, and then I actually try and find somebody who is actually somewhat good.
Hey, listen. But we'll why don't we move on off the number 12 topic and we'll move into Philadelphia Flyers hiring
Former
AV.
New York Rangers head coach Alain Vigneault. Dude, Rangers Twitter could not have been any happier the other day. It was incredible.
Oh, why? What were they saying?
Just like, because I think, what's his name, the new guy in Philadelphia, I think it's Chuck Fletcher. He said, we want to hire a coach who can develop young players who has a proven success record in the playoffs or proven track record in the playoffs. It was something along those lines. And
Yes,
I'm just like,
that's right. I did
did
see
you
that.
not pay attention at all the past 2 years, what he did with the Rangers, or did you even just forget about what happened at the end of his tenure in Vancouver?
Yeah. Well, all they saw was a guy that literally took 2 teams to the Stanley Cup, so I guess that's what they're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. You don't get that many wins as a head coach, as many as he has, without being a good coach. But you got to have the right roster. And one of the criticisms was he was being carried by great goalies. And, I mean, you can't really deny that.
True.
That's
'cause
not
they
something
had-
you can flat out deny because people do bring up a legitimate point on that.
When he was coaching Vancouver, did they still have Roberto Luongo as goalie?
Yes.
All right, so. And then obviously with the Rangers, we had Hank.
Yep. And, he's going to have
obviously
Carter
from
Hart in
Rangers,
Philly.
And a Rangers fans' perspective, I mean, he was always just aggravating the fact that he would always be doing something stupid with the young players, whether it was sending them down or benching them, or that was a good point. A lot of people brought up with him is that they, especially Philly, they have such a young team, and all the other teams he coached, they had a lot of veteran presence, which they don't necessarily have besides Claude Giroux and Voracek.
Yeah,
They have a very young team.
I'm just waiting for him to scratch Provorov and Gostisbehere and for them just to go in an uproar against him.
Yeah.
And then they sign Tanner Glass and put Tanner Glass in their spot in the lineup.
But I mean, I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, can they really have any worse of a year than what they had this year?
Well, technically, yes. If they never would have brought Hart up, you never would have known what happened.
That's true.
I mean, they might have finished below us in the standings. Thank God they didn't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right.
But I mean, I guess we'll see what happens with them. I mean, not that I really care about Flyers. I mean,
yeah, I know. Me
as long as they don't beat us with AV as coach.
Oh, dude! Now that I think about it, I can't wait for the first game of him being back at MSG. The booze he's gonna get.
You think so? You think he'll get booze?
I honestly think so because the players were happy when he was gone last year.
I don't know if he's gonna get booze, dude. I don't know if he's that like.
I mean, I would.
Well,
if I go to that game.
The thing is, I feel like a majority of fans are not gonna dislike him as much as maybe somebody like me or you. I don't know.
You never know.
I don't know. But then again, we'll see. I guess, right?
Yeah, we will see. Just like the number 2 pick. So
that is very true.
Because I still don't know what New Jersey's doing because they did go with Heischer over Patrick 2 years ago. So
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I feel like they like the European players a little bit more.
I don't know, but I also saw something about they have a terrible reputation of drafting franchise centers or something along those lines. So they might end up going with Hughes.
No, that's interesting. All right,
and plus, dude, they got gifted Taylor Hall for Adam Larson. So
that's true. Well, listen, the only reason the Devils were bad this year is because Taylor Hall was out since Christmas Eve.
Well,
he didn't play the rest of the season.
There were a lot of injuries on that team, actually.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm just saying, that was definitely the biggest reason.
Yeah.
Because the year before, Taylor Hall literally carried the Devils to the playoffs.
Yeah, he did.
So.
All right, I don't want to talk about the Devils anymore. Do you want to? What do you want to move on to?
Let's just jump into the playoffs. We'll start off on the East because there's just so much to talk about.
Dude, let's start off with the 62-win Tampa Bay Lightning getting where's my broom swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets.
That is obviously nobody saw that one coming. At least not a sweep, anyway.
No, dude, I was surprised as hell. Surprised as anyone.
Yeah.
Especially after they went up 3-0 in Game 1. I'm just like, wow.
Sure. I thought they were going to destroy them.
Yeah, steamrolled them. And then, literally, the series took a complete 180.
Yeah. And not for nothing, too. Another big point, though, is that in the first game, Bobrovsky looked like he never played goalie. In the first period, of the first game.
Yep.
Bobrovsky looked like he never played goalie before in his life. Then all of a sudden he comes out in the second period. He made an unreal saves the rest of that game, and then the rest of the series he was just locked down.
Yeah, pretty much.
And also, their power play was clicking.
Oh yeah,
that whole series, and Tampa Bay's penalty kill was awful.
Yeah. Speaking of
awful, what do you think was the biggest factor though to Tampa losing? Because what do you think it was?
Their top guys not being able to produce. That was the main thing for me.
I was gonna say, I mean,
Vasilevsky didn't really play that well.
No, he didn't play. I was honestly, I don't want to say I was surprised because, obviously Vasilevsky had such a good season, but I would have loved to see them just throw Domingue in for one game, just to see because
what would have happened?
Listen, yeah, just because I see from this standpoint. I don't know if a lot of people would agree with me, but
let's see.
I don't know.
Let's see if I know where you're going with this.
For me, it's I bring this back around to the Rangers, and for some reason, the Rangers play differently when Lundqvist is in the net compared to when Georgiev's in the net.
That literally applies to every single backup goalie we have.
So now I don't know if that would carry over to Tampa, but let's not forget Louis Domingue also won 10 games in a row at one point.
Oh yeah, he did do that.
Not that Vasilevsky was bad in that series, but I would have liked to see them just throw him in there just to see if the team would have played differently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would have made a difference, but I don't know. I would have liked to see that.
Hey, dude,
But
literally
in the game 4,
Grubauer,
though,
dude, hold on 1 second. Grubauer started for the Caps at the beginning of last year's playoffs
right.
and lost 2 games. Holtby came in, and they ended up winning the Cup. So
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you need to switch it, even if it's not necessary. I feel like in a way, like team plays different.
yeah, just to see how the team would respond, right?
Yep. I mean, what's also another thing I want to break down, Tim. Not that this is really an excuse, but I mean, Victor Hedman being out definitely was not good.
Yeah, he was injured.
He was
Definitely.
injured. I mean, he played game 1, didn't look good.
No.
He looked bad. He looked terrible.
Yeah.
Then game 2, same type of thing. Didn't look good. Game 3, he was out.
Yep.
And then same thing. He was out for game 4, obviously. And also, to add to it, Strawman was out game 4. So at that point, you kind of just knew it was a sweep.
Yeah, and also McDonough didn't have a good series.
Nah, McDonough looked bad. He didn't look good. He looked like he was gassed, which I guess made sense. But, you're also talking about, at that point, you take away Victor Hedman and Strawman, that's half of their good defense.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, you had a couple of rookies on defense. What's his name? 81.
Is it Sergachev? I don't know numbers.
No, Sergachev's 98.
Cernak?
Yes, he's a rookie, I believe.
I'm not.
So that was
not
his first playoff series. I remember them bringing it up. Cooper was talking about it, but yeah, but also I feel like a lot of people didn't credit Columbus like going into the series, and we were talking about that before, and that's only because they barely made the playoffs. I mean, you're talking about a team that if they would have lost to the Rangers in the shootout, then it would have came down to the last game against Ottawa for them to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they ended up destroying Ottawa anyways, but still.
But still,
yeah.
I mean, just that factor alone, going up against a 62-win team. But when you look at their team, I mean, they really do have a good team.
Yeah, they do.
And I know they're so hyped right now that they won this first series, but in the end, it's like if they don't win the Stanley Cup, like those moves they made are pretty risky.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's all in, really. It's all in. It's definitely a good start.
I mean, dude, you can't get any better than sweeping the best regular season team of this century so far. So
that's true. But let's see, you got to see how they keep that up, though.
I just want to bring another thing up. Out of the 5 ex-Rangers in that series, the best ex-Ranger, as much as I hated him at the end of his tenure in New York, Dan Girardi had a pretty good series, not going to lie.
That's right, baby. My boy Dan.
Dude, he's a warrior. He's a god. I mean, to be the best ex-Ranger out of all the ex-Rangers on that team, that's impressive.
and to be honest, not to throw shade at any of the ex-Rangers, but when you watch it and, guys like Miller and they're not doing anything in the playoffs, it's kind of like, oh, yeah, now we remember why we got rid of Miller. Not that was particularly the reason, but, in a way you're like, oh, yeah, well, that was very reminiscent of him when he was on the Rangers, not doing anything when they needed him to.
Yeah.
Not that he was our go-to guy or anything, but still.
Just also, Miller along with Callahan was on the 4th line.
Yeah.
Like that last game.
Listen, Callahan did what he does. He goes out there, he bangs bodies, that's it.
Yes.
I mean, block shots. Not that he was ineffective, but ultimately, like you said, it came down to, I mean, Kucherov had 2 assists. That's pathetic.
And they were both in game 4.
That's awful. Stamkos was, pretty much non-existent. He had a nice goal in the last game. But, Tampa did pour it on in the second period of that last game.
Dude,
point
Stamkos and Sergachev. No, not Sergachev. Point Stamkos and Kucherov all held without a point through the first 3 games. And remember, at the end of game 2, Kucherov boarded Nudavara's head into the boards, got suspended for a game.
So he was out, yeah. So, I mean, in that third game, that was the third game, right? That they were missing Kucherov?
Yes.
So they were missing Kucherov and Hedman that game. So I don't want to say Columbus got lucky, but that was definitely helped their case a little bit. For sure. But you got to credit their play because, I mean, they just wanted it more. They just skated harder. They just look like a faster and better team.
Yep. And
another thing, I meant to look this up because I'm pretty sure and I know that I definitely heard the announcer saying this, but he said, I'm assuming he was talking about Columbus, because it was right after he said that their power play was 4 for 8, that they brought Marty St. Louis in as the power play coach.
They
that
did.
was for Columbus, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was like, okay, that would make sense if it was for Tampa, because it was his old team, but at the same time, John Tortorella was his old coach when they won the Cup. So he's like, all right, well, that's good to see Marty St. Louis doing his job, at least power play coach, because their power play was vicious.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I'll say one thing about their power play that I didn't know. Well, not that I didn't notice, but I never really realized. I always considered Panarin a goal scorer. I didn't realize how good he is at passing, because he had some like good passes, man.
Yeah, no, some great passes.
And another thing too is like
just like my pass to our buddy Peter when we were playing hockey yesterday.
But for me, it's like another thing that they did well on the power play too is they were getting those screens in front.
Yeah.
And like on both the Seth Jones goals in that series, he literally just shot at top shelf. Vasilevsky couldn't see a thing. So them figuring out their power play is definitely dangerous moving forward.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Special teams are crucial in the playoffs.
They're gonna get even more of a challenge next game.
You mean next series?
I'm sorry, because they're gonna be playing either Toronto or Boston.
All right. Well, technically, you were right. Next game, because the next game is the next series.
True. That's right. Next game for them. But speaking of teams that wanted it more, let's just go on to the other sweep while we're at it. I mean,
all right, yeah, we'll come back to Boston, Toronto. The other sweep, the New York Islanders sweep. Where's my other broom? The Pittsburgh Penguins. 4-0, obviously.
This is just a win for. Sorry to cut you off, but this is just a win for everybody in this division.
Yeah, pretty much.
It doesn't matter whether you're a Washington fan, a Devils fan, Rangers fan. Everybody's like, screw Pittsburgh. I'm tired of their shit. Same thing every year. Everybody was glad that they got eliminated.
Yeah, it's not like literally everyone who is not an Islanders fan, or at least most of them, they weren't rooting for the Islanders to win. They were rooting for Pittsburgh to lose.
I mean, listen, the Islanders.
I barely watched that series because I despise both teams. I felt like watching other series.
I watched pretty much every single game. The Islanders were absolutely locked down in that series, in the neutral zone especially. When you can lock down Crosby, that's pretty good, considering he's an animal in the playoffs.
He had 1 point that whole series.
Yeah,
and it was Game 4.
And listen, and Pittsburgh had a lot of chances too. Leonard was obviously lights out, as he's been all year, so that at least continued for the Islanders in the playoffs. The Islanders' offense looked good, man. They're not like the only player I considered like finesse on their team is Barzal. He's the only person on that team that does anything like crafty. That's not disrespect.
I would agree,
but that's literally that's their style. Everybody skates. They roll 4 lines out good. Even their fourth line is good. So that was a big win for them, man. I'm not gonna lie, I was not expecting a sweep. I predicted Islanders in 7. But the sweep threw me off because I figured with the talent that Pittsburgh had, and Malkin and Crosby and all those guys, Kessel, I figured they'd win at least 1 game. But
I thought they would grab 2. But
yeah,
now you're really seeing Murray cannot carry that bad of a team. Not that any goalie can, but he didn't do a good job at all.
No,
they forced 1 game of OT. I'll give him that, but other than that, nothing.
I agree with you on that one too. Matt Murray was definitely not at his best, and especially this season, it's not like he has Fleury to back him up anymore. Not that he did, he didn't have it last year either. So, and that just goes to show you right there.
Dude, I will point this out for the foreseeable future, but I think it was the second cup run for the Penguins in 2017. Fleury was the one who played the first half of that playoff run.
Oh, yeah, he played incredible.
Yeah, so by the time Murray came in, he was fresh as hell. So, I'm sorry, but that's not...
yeah.
That's not the sign of an elite goaltender, where you come in halfway through the playoffs when you're healthy.
I don't consider Matt Murray elite. I don't care if he has 2 cups.
Oh, neither do I, but a lot of people do, and it's pretty aggravating, because the past 2 seasons, he's not elite. You can just tell from the way he plays.
I mean, listen, if you want to talk about elite goaltending, well, non-elite goaltending, just look at that goal that Jordan Eberle scored. Well, which one? Because he had multiple, but the one where they passed it to him in the corner, and he literally took a wrist shot from the corner and sniped him. Literally had no business scoring on that play. He took a wrist shot from the corner, dude,
I think I
and it
saw
went
that.
in top shelf because he didn't play the angle. That was bad.
Oh
You
no
do
no
not
no!
play the
I
angle on a
didn't I
shot from
didn't
the
see that
corner.
actually. You want to
It was
know?
literally a shot from the corner, dude. Shouldn't have gone in.
I didn't see it, but there was another goal against Ben Bishop that was pretty much the same thing.
Oh yeah,
That's
well
why
the
it
goal
was.
that gave them the lead for that game in Dallas, Ben Bishop gave up a bad goal.
Yeah, we'll come back.
But
We'll come back to that series.
yeah. Well, listen now, Islanders are waiting to see who wins that Capitals series.
Yeah, honest, dude,
Which
Carolina's they're no slouch.
no, they're really not, dude. They're giving them a really hard time, man.
Yeah.
Well, now that we're talking about it, we might as well just move on.
Yeah.
They're
all right,
dude. I mean, they won the first game. They clawed back. They beat them 4-3. Capitals, right?
Think so.
It was
Yeah.
4-3 the first game. Second game goes to overtime. After they also clawed back into the game to tie it, to force it in OT. Caps win in OT, and then the third game, Carolina came out and just wiped the floor of Washington, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest with you. But then again, it was their first home game in about 10 years in the playoffs. So
Yes, it was.
that was pretty awesome to see them come out, and the fans were obviously feeling it.
I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people hated their post game celebrations, but I loved it.
I mean, I thought it was cheesy, but
They
whatever,
had
at
they
least
had
they're
some
having
pretty
fun.
funny ones.
They were having fun with it, at least, you know.
Hey, dude, whatever builds team chemistry, makes being in that locker room more enjoyable, you got to do it.
That is true. Yeah, but Carolina's not giving up, man. I
No.
mean, I
just want to point out Washington was
going to sweep them, but obviously I'm wrong.
Dude, Washington was held to 18 shots in Game 3. Meanwhile, Carolina had 45.
Yeah. They obviously came out to play in that third game. Now, one thing we got to ask, what the hell was, what's his name? How do you pronounce it? The Russian kid that tried to fight over
Andrei Svechnikov.
Smeshnikov or whatever
Andrei
his name.
Svechnikov.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah.
Well,
Dude, don't
well,
challenge
my main question is,
don't challenge Ovechkin and then
Listen.
expect the best.
well, not even that. It's like, first of all, you're Russian. You idolized Ovechkin growing up. So, A, why would you even fight him? That makes no sense. And B, even if you did win the fight, imagine you like hurt Ovechkin and you like ended his career. Could you imagine that, dude? Like, it's not even worth it, dude. It's a
Jeez.
lose-lose, even if you win. It reminds me of like, I don't know why this reminded me of that, but remember when Carl Hagelin got suspended for boarding Danny Alfredson?
Was that in the 2012 playoffs?
I believe that was 2012 playoffs.
Yeah, well, technically no, because like I was still getting into hockey
Okay.
that season, but
Well,
I know
we'll put it
exactly
this
what
way.
happened.
But you know what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah.
he boarded him, and, you know, it was like a big thing because he was Swedish, and so was Hagelin. And, I mean, like, just imagine if you would have knocked out Ovechkin. Not that probably would have ever happened because Ovechkin's an animal. But what I saw that as is, like, do you think that Carolina's kind of getting under their skin a little bit? Or do you think that was just like an isolated incident? Because, I mean, you're talking about, I don't think Ovechkin's ever fought in the playoffs before. I think that's the first time ever in his career.
That was actually only his third career fight, which I was surprised at.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not much of a fighter, I guess. I mean, he throws a lot of big hits.
Oh yeah, big time.
But
I
mean,
don't. But is it
I
getting
don't know
under
if you
their
saw
skin?
that.
That's a good question. Because I
Because, I
haven't
mean,
seen enough of the series to give you a definitive answer on that.
I mean, because I don't know. It seemed like to me like Ovechkin on the post game, he said, yeah, you know what? Like, we were going at it. He asked me if I wanted to drop the gloves. I said yes. I fought him. That's it. He said, I hope he's all right. You know, I didn't mean to hurt him. I thought that was pretty cool. But, you know, at the same time, I just can't really see the Capitals coming out in Game 4 and playing that bad again.
No,
I just
neither.
thought it was interesting.
I don't
'cause
think
I mean, when you
with
think of
that
fighting
team.
on Washington, I mean, if anybody's going to throw hands, it's going to be Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting that Ovechkin actually decided to step up in that situation.
It's like, dude, he got challenged. He asked if Svechnikov wanted to drop the gloves. That he said yes, and well,
Yeah, exactly.
what happened
They
happened.
move on from it.
Yeah, what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit caught off guard though about that from the Carolina. I thought it was going to be, if they did win, I figured it would be a closer game, but 5-0 was a little bit of a surprise. And another interesting thing too about that series is, for some reason they got a 2-day break in between the game 4. Did you notice that? Because they should have been on last night, but for some reason they weren't. They're on tonight. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I noticed.
They're not
I
flying.
saw that when I
wonder
looked at
why
the
that
games.
is.
I'm thinking that maybe there was something at the arena. I'm not sure.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make sense, but because, I mean, why would they get an extra day if they weren't flying? That doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah, it's a good question.
But
yeah, that's the only possible thing I could think of, because you got to realize, like, arenas, they don't schedule around playoff hockey. They schedule around playoff basketball, which is, I hate that, but it's the truth. They just don't schedule around playoff hockey.
yeah. But I'm interested to see tonight. I mean, obviously I'll be watching that game, so we'll see how Washington responds. I mean, I expect them to win the series.
Same.
But I got to admit, I'm impressed with Carolina. They made it more. They made the games a lot more interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, they have.
And it's something about the lower seeds they do. They just come in. They just skate hard.
Yeah.
Not
dude,
that Washington's
underdogs.
not skating hard, but they just look like they want it. So not that Washington doesn't look like that either, but Carolina's definitely they got something to prove. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So that's actually an interesting matchup. I figured, hey, listen, Washington just wiped the floor with them, this and that, but I'm impressed. I'll admit.
No, I was impressed, especially after Game 3. I mean, 5-0, you just killed them basically the whole game.
And listen, and you know what? And tonight, I wouldn't be surprised after that performance if they tie it, considering the crowd's so into it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was surprised yesterday too, to move on from the series. And speaking of just an insane home atmosphere, Toronto's home games are just sick, dude. Like they're next level, man. The fans outside the arena, everybody's watching it. Everybody's going crazy.
That's every year.
Everybody sings the national anthem. That's sick. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, they're one of the very few teams who have a part of a couple of streets dedicated to like every series in the playoffs. If dude, if the Rangers did that, people would be like, guys, like, it's the first round, there's 4 rounds.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, it's a Canadian city and one of the most prestigious at that, so they get a pass from me on that.
Yeah. And obviously when you talk about the Toronto series, I mean, the biggest factor so far, well, the biggest thing that happened was Nazem Kadri getting suspended the whole series.
Yeah.
Well,
technically the rest of the series, yeah.
Yeah, rest of the series. I mean, that was, I don't want to say it was unnecessary, but I mean, it was definitely stupid on his end.
Dude,
definitely well-deserved suspension. You can't argue that he shouldn't have gotten suspended for that, especially with the history that he's had. He had a similar play literally last year. Same thing, got suspended for it.
Yeah, I got
in the playoffs.
Yep.
So he's actually lucky he only got the rest of the series.
Dude, I got 2 things to say about that. One, he got 3 games flat out last year. This year, it was a minimum of 3, maximum of 5, depending on the rest of the series. And I still think that it should have been minimum 5 games. And 2, he's been in the league long enough to know not to do that. Yet he still does it. He got suspended 3 games last year. He's suspended for the rest of the series this year. If I'm Dubas, I'm screaming to get rid of him.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to bring up though, just from an outside perspective, because in the end of the day, I'm not a fan of Toronto or Boston, but I will say one thing though. I thought they missed 2 calls on DeBrusque.
Yes, they did.
Should have been a knee on knee earlier on Kadri. That was definitely a knee on knee.
Yes.
No doubt about that. And also, I thought that hit on Marleau, I don't understand how that wasn't a penalty. That is literally the definition of boarding. I don't give a shit if Marleau's been in the league for 20 years. That's a hit on anybody. That's a boarding.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, dude, that one was... I don't understand what the refs were looking at. So Marleau's skating the puck up the boards. DeBrusque's coming from the back. He comes from the side and pretty much like smashes up against the boards from behind. It was a boarding. It was definitely a boarding for sure. And that's what made Kadri lose his shit, pretty much. He went after him, cross-checked him in the face. Yep. Now, honestly, not to say that Kadri wouldn't have done it, but if the refs probably would have just called a penalty on it,
never would have happened.
It probably never would have happened. So, and I don't want to say blame the referees on that, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, I don't want to say I respect Kadri for that hit that he threw, but I understand why he went after him. Yeah. But he should have done it in a better way, because what he did was a little unnecessary too. I mean, I think he was just upset that he got knee on knee by him earlier, and then that one on Marlowe was just like that was the tipping point.
I mean, dude, if you look at this series, I mean, it's been every other game. Toronto takes game 1 and game 3. Boston took games 2 and 4. I don't know. This is a little bit of a weird series because every game is like there's no constant flow from the next game to the next.
What I'll say
from one game to the next.
What I picked up on the series is that when Boston starts coming out in the game and they start throwing bodies and they start doing, like their typical Boston things, getting under guys' skin.
Yeah, it starts to throw Toronto off their game a little bit, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. I mean,
it's not like Toronto's built for that type of series because they're not.
No, but I will say
compared to Boston.
In the first 2 games, everybody was like, "Where the hell is Austin Matthews? He's not doing anything. Where is he? He's bad." I mean, Nylander had a really bad play. That was bad in game 2. We turned the puck over. He looked like he needs to step it up still because he hasn't proved to anybody yet that he's worth that amount of money in the playoffs at least.
Yep.
And now Matthews, he's starting to turn it on now. Scored last night. He scored in game 3, big goal.
Yeah, he's got 3 goals now.
So he's starting to step it up now. But that's definitely the biggest factor I've noticed, and especially last night. Right off the face-off of the game, dude, you could just tell Boston was gunning. Off the face-off, a little tie-up, Marner gets the puck, literally goes to skate past center ice, Chara steps up, lays him out. First play of the game. I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be something else. But I will credit Toronto because they did win game 3, even though it was at home. But everybody was kind of like up in the air, like, oh, they figured Kadri's the difference maker. So I think they could prove they could win without Kadri. First of all, but now they got Ennis in the lineup now instead of Kadri.
They can win without Kadri, but it just makes it more difficult.
I mean, the biggest thing still in that series, and personally, I think so far, I think that Toronto has kind of proven that they're a little bit deeper on offense than Boston.
Yep.
I mean, in terms of offense, Boston literally only gets offense from Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand. And McAvoy. Last night, Chara scored also. But in terms of what all the offense that comes out of Boston is literally from that top line. So I think when they've won the games, Toronto, they've shut them down. But I feel like when Boston starts getting under their skin and then you start taking penalties and then that power play comes out there and those guys are out there, they capitalize, especially last night. And that's exactly why they won. Even though they ended up tying that game, Toronto. But, I mean, it was a bad penalty by Matthews. I thought it was a non-call, to be honest with you. McAvoy was holding him in front, and Matthews had enough of it pretty much, and he got him a little up high. Ref called it a high stick. They scored on the power play. They made it 3-2, and then literally 30 seconds later, Pastrnak scored again. So I think he scored in a minute 30 span. He had 2 goals. And they actually, which I thought was interesting, they actually benched his ass in the first period. He played 4 minutes in the first period. And then he came out in the second. He was on fire. So I thought that was an interesting move by Boston. But they played well last night, and that was a big win, especially because they lost one at home. So, but series goes back, and especially because they go back to Boston now after they tied it. So,
yeah, this is going to be interesting.
I think it's going to go 7, which I think we predicted Boston in 7, right?
Yeah. Yes, we did.
Yeah. So I see it going 7.
Hey, dude, sometimes all it takes is benching a player the rest of a period for them to wake up.
Oh, definitely.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it helps when you have guys that are just on. I hate Marchand, but he's awesome.
Dude, he's a good
and
player.
it's the same thing with McAvoy too. He's been good for them, man.
Yes.
I mean, even yesterday, first period, a goal and assist on the first 2 goals. Great pass to Marchand. He scored on a one-timer in the slot on the power play. You could just tell Boston looked like they had a little bit more jump yesterday. So I wasn't surprised to see them come out with the win, especially the way that they started that first period off. When you score 2 goals in an away game, it's pretty good. Especially Toronto's atmosphere.
Yeah, I unfortunately didn't get to watch the game last night. I went out to dinner.
That's all right. But that's where we're at with that one. We're at 2-2. Let's go on to the West, man, because the West, to me, is even more interesting.
Let's start out with Calgary, Colorado.
Wow, man.
And, oh boy, Colorado, 3-1 series lead.
Dude, I'll tell you one thing. It's not looking good for Calgary right now.
No, it is not.
They look slow. Colorado definitely looks faster than them, for sure. That's just at first glance.
Yeah, dude, here's the thing. Smith played phenomenal in Game 1.
Yeah.
Calgary's lost 3 straight, but it's not on him.
No, it's not actually.
It's not.
On Smith, definitely. He's been playing great.
No, the team in front of him is just not showing up.
Listen, Calgary, and that was Game 4 last night, and Colorado could have easily been up in that game. They were down 2-0 in that game.
And they came back to win.
They had so many chances, dude. Smith was lights out. I mean, there's only so much you could, even Landeskog must have had like 10 chances himself. And honestly, I mean, it was only a matter of time before they tied the game.
Yep.
There's not much you could really say because that top line for them right now is dangerous.
Rantanen, McKinnon, Landeskog.
And when we were talking about before we started recording, and it's like, I mean, dude, at the beginning of the season, they were literally the best line in the NHL. And then obviously they declined a little bit. Then they got injured. Well, Rantanen and Landeskog were injured for a little while.
Yep.
And just like last year, McKinnon literally put the team on his back without them. And now they're back, dude, and they look pretty good. Well, better than pretty good. But.
Yeah, dude, honestly, if I had to bet money at this point, I'd put it on Colorado to finish this series off.
Yeah, I think they're going to finish it. I mean, I'm expecting maybe Calgary wins the next one. It's going to be at home.
Possibly.
So, but they don't look good, man. One of the biggest criticisms about them, besides the goaltending going into the series, was the scoring. They had trouble scoring. There were stretches where they couldn't score during the regular season towards the end, and now I think you're starting to see it.
Yeah. But
and not to say that a lot of those guys haven't played good, because, I mean, listen, even non-scoring, like Kachuk is still playing good. Oh, yeah. But I'm surprised that, like Johnny Hockey hasn't really turned it on yet. Because it's not over yet, but...
Hey, dude, playoffs, you never know. You never know.
I mean, it's I don't want to say it's that simple, but I mean, if they want to win the Flames, they really just have to lock down these guys. But right now, with the way they're playing, dude, I just can't see it happening.
No. This is yet another series where we're most likely going to be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and I think everybody is, dude, because I can't see a lot of people really picking Calgary as the top seed in the West, dude. You know? And listen, Colorado's not a deep team. That's another thing, They're not a deep team at all. I mean, you're talking about probably about 90% of their offense just comes from those 3 guys.
Yeah, no, dude, they struggled with depth scoring for most of the season.
But at the same time, when you got guys that are just this good, they don't seem like they're going to slow down.
No.
And now, especially now, I mean, they're passing together. I don't know if you happen to catch the power play goal that they scored to tie it, but it was disgusting.
Nah, dude, I didn't watch any highlights last night. My phone was not loading anything.
Dude, all you need to know is that McKinnon got the puck on the left wing and Rantanen was in front, and he just took a slap shot right at him, and he just deflected it top shelf. It was sick. And then the overtime goal was just Landeskog across to Rantanen, like as they were skating like 100 miles per hour. He takes a slap shot and it goes right in.
Okay,
it was sick.
I lied. I did see those 2 goals when I got back home.
It was sick.
As your phone rings. All right, so, I mean, Game 4, 52 shots to 37 in Colorado's favor, and, yeah, I think they're going to run away with this series at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it looks like Colorado's going to take it. But we'll see. You never know.
Speaking of you never know, let's move on to the next series, San Jose, Vegas.
Oh,
And oh boy,
that one's over.
you're really seeing the bottom fall out of San Jose right now.
Yeah, they're done, man.
They're done.
That last game to me just really showed how bad defensively they can be. I mean, and I hate to say, I don't like Doughty, and I thought it was a little unnecessary for him to call out Burns and Carlson, but damn, he's looking right now because they've just been getting walked the whole series, especially that last game. Brett Burns got walked by Theodore out of all people. So,
and you got to remember, dude, Jumbo Joe got suspended for a game for a shoulder to, I forgot his name, but
that was unnecessary too. I mean,
completely.
I'm glad you brought that up because I thought that was just ridiculous. I don't know why he did that for.
No, that series is done, man.
Yeah,
especially it's like Stone's going off right now.
Oh yeah, I mean that whole line, Stasny, Pacioretty, and Stone. Man, they're on fire.
Dude,
they're
those
just
were
as hot as the McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog.
3 very smart pickups by the Knights.
Yeah, I mean, you're starting to see they still. At first you were kind of a little bit weary about how that series was going to go because I thought San Jose responded well, and
in game 2.
Yeah, then Vegas really just took it up a notch, and they really just put the last 2 games just haven't even been close.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the last game, Evander Kane. Well, first of all, Golden Knights knew, which, I mean, this has been well known in the NHL for years, that Evander Kane has a temper. I mean, you couldn't see it any more on display than the last game.
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
him and Reeves fought.
He fought Ryan Reeves, which is just like, what are you doing, dude? Come on. That right there just goes to show you that Ryan Reeves is under their skin. Well, under Evander Kane's skin anyway.
Dude, it's not like Reeves killed him in the fight. I mean, Kane walked away like almost completely unscathed.
No, I mean, definitely. It's not that, but the point is like Evander Kane should not be engaging with Ryan Reeves in a fight. That's just stupid. Like, that's Ryan Reeves' game.
Yeah.
Like, you don't go ahead and fight Ryan Reeves.
No, you don't do that.
Unless you're Tom Wilson.
Although they did exchange some pretty good quotes that I forgot to screenshot, but it was something about Reeves being in the WWE and stuff, and it was some funny stuff.
Yeah.
It was some
I'm
funny
sure
stuff.
It was hilarious.
Oh yeah,
but
absolutely.
At the end of the day,
you would have loved
it.
Playoff
series,
Oh yeah. No.
And right now, Vegas looks like the better team, man.
Hey, well, I did call Vegas, so I mean, at least I'm gonna get one series right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't. We definitely both took Vegas in that series. San Jose is not.
Yeah, we did something right on our brackets.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want to say. I mean, if you're a San Jose Sharks fan, you got to be sick of Vegas at this point. It's going to be 2 years in a row that they've eliminated you from the playoffs.
Yep, and the rivalry is definitely there.
Here. I'm not going to be surprised when the report comes out that Erik Karlsson's been injured, because it certainly doesn't look like he's healthy.
Yeah, it's not, like he has his moments, but most of the time he's not the Erik Karlsson that we all know.
Yeah, no, he doesn't look good right now, and Brett Burns too. He doesn't look good either. The defense doesn't look good.
And and it's not like Jones is doing much to hold the fort back there. But I mean, with them being that bad defensively, I mean, can't really put the blame on him.
And especially Vegas did their job. They won one game on the road, and they're really difficult to beat at home because their home crowd is insane. And Vegas has done. They've done their job too at the beginning of the game. They've been scoring those first goals, and not just one, two. They've been scoring multiple goals in the first couple minutes.
Oh yeah,
It's hard to fight back from that, dude.
Actually, I screenshotted this. Luckily, Game 2, first period. Golden Knights score 58 seconds in, 131 in. Game 3, 16 seconds, 21 seconds.
Yeah, they had 3 goals.
Well, first period, 16 seconds. Second period, 21 seconds. Third period, 36 seconds. And then Game 4, first period, 111 in. So
yeah, they've been killing
San Jose is getting off
to
terrible starts.
Yeah.
And, well, I mean, we've said this like 20 times already, but that series is done.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there's any possible chance San Jose comes back. I don't think so either.
And
I'd be really caught off guard.
Same. All right, well,
That would honestly be more of a surprise to me if San Jose came back than Columbus sweeping Tampa.
well, at this point, yeah, considering what the hell happened in that series.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that's Vegas looking dangerous again, man. And
Well,
so far,
I love how I actually
honestly,
have them coming out of the West in my bracket.
so far, I mean, out of all teams out of the West, I mean, Vegas probably looks the most dangerous. I'll be honest with you, I haven't really.
Yeah, maybe.
I was going to
yeah.
bring up. I mean, I would love to see. I mean, listen, if Colorado wins, and Vegas wins, it's going to be Colorado-Vegas.
That is a series I want to
which
see.
That's going to be a great series. One, because we've never seen it happen before, so you don't have any idea how that's going to go.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting.
All right, well.
And another, on the other end, too, I want to bring up Winnipeg, because I got to be honest with you, I haven't really watched a lot of these games. I think you've been watching the Winnipeg a little bit more than me.
Just a little bit.
I mean, what I do know about the series is that it's tied now. Winnipeg won the other night.
Dude, honestly,
2-2.
it's been a pretty good series, not going to lie.
It's
Two
interesting.
big,
It's
heavy
actually-
teams going at each other.
It's just interesting to me that you got both teams got both of their wins on the road. That's funny.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty wild. I mean,
That's
Kyle
an
Connor
interesting
won
thing.
Game 4 in OT the other night.
Yeah.
Not,
And the
like,
biggest thing,
I
and the
wasn't
biggest
expecting
thing,
that.
obviously, is that. Sorry to cut you off, but with
Okay.
Winnipeg, is obviously Laine's been on fire now. So
Yeah, he woke up.
finally he woke up. Yeah.
They were talking about him the other day. It's just like he scored 30 goals this season. 19 of them were in November.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, and what?
Ray Ferraro called it the worst 30-goal season ever.
I mean,
I was dying.
it's kind of true.
Yeah.
I mean, he got 1 goal in October, 19 in November, and then finished the season with 30 goals.
Hey, listen, but if there's a time for you to turn it up, it's the playoffs. So
Exactly.
that you could be a 60-goal scorer, then score nothing in the playoffs. Your 60-goal season's irrelevant.
Dude,
in
I'm
my
just
opinion.
interested to see what is going to happen with Game 5 here.
Yeah, well, it's back in Winnipeg now, right?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. To me, I mean, Winnipeg has been 2 games in a row now they won. So, how you feel like they've been looking like stronger than St. Louis?
Yeah,
I mean, one thing I want to bring up here is that now they've scored some goals on Binnington. So you think he responds with a big game in Game 5, or you think Winnipeg keeps scoring?
Well, I mean, I thought Bennington responded pretty well in Game 4. He only gave up 2 goals, and the game went to OT.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he only gave up 1 goal in regulation. I think he responded well. It's on St. Louis to bury their chances when they get him.
That's true. Have you noticed Big Kevin Hayes much in the series?
Not the first 2 games.
I honestly, I've really only caught glimpses of this series. I don't know why. This is like the one series I haven't really watched too much. I've
dude,
watched-
Hayes scored in Game 3, but I mean, he scored in a blowout win, basically, because it was 6-3.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be on tonight, too, at 8:30.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking
St.
forward to
Louis.
watching that game.
So I'll probably have that game on, considering there's not really too many games to watch tonight.
Also, Tarasenko just sniped one the other night. I got hyped.
Yeah. Did they come back in that game, or were they winning?
Tarasenko scored first, so Blues were up.
Got it.
Yeah, and then Scheifele scored, and then Connor got the OT winner. This is going to be an interesting series because, I don't know, dude, both teams can put the puck in the back of the net. This is going to come down to defense and goaltending.
You think it's going to be a Game 7?
Yes.
Because it certainly seems like it's going to go 7.
Yes. Although, wouldn't be surprised if it ended in 6, but I'm pretty confident this is going 7.
And I remember, if we remember correctly, I got Blues. I took the Blues.
Yeah,
You took Winnipeg.
you took Blues in 7. I took Jets in 7. So one of us is going to be right, most likely.
That's true.
At least on the 7 part.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, let's talk about the last series that we've left out so far with the one that includes my beloved Matt Zuccarello, Dallas against Nashville. What do you
Dallas
think? You've been watching the series more than I have, I feel like.
Yeah, I've been staying with it. I gotta be honest with you, man. I like Dallas right now. Like Nashville to me. I mean, it's easy for me to say that considering Dallas just wiped the floor with them 5-1 last night. But to me, I don't know, man. Something about Dallas, like I think if Ben Bishop can play good, and well, listen, the first Nashville win, they won in OT, so that could have went either way.
It was 2-1.
That was a lucky bounce really in front. Nothing you could really do there. But I like Dallas. The offense looks good, man. Zuccarella's been on an absolute tear. I think he's got 3 goals now, 3 or 4.
Yeah, dude, he has 10 points in 10 games with the Stars this season, including the playoffs.
Freaking Zook, man. He's playing. First of all, how do you even recover from a broken arm in that amount of time? That still doesn't make much sense to me.
Because he's a
They're
beast.
actually saying it still aggravates him, like certain movements.
Wow.
So I'm like, that is ridiculous, and just to see the way he's been playing is awesome. But I mean, and same thing too. When Nashville happened to get the second win that they got that series, the goal they scored was kind of just like Dallas was coming. They were down 3-1. They tied it, and Rene made a sick save on Ben in front of the net. If they scored that, I think they probably would have won that game. And Nashville kind of rallied from that, and they scored on like a flub wrist shot. Bishop should have probably had it, in my opinion.
Dude, speaking of Bishop, should have probably had that. Game 3, all of, like, you can argue that one of the Predators' goals wasn't his fault, but the other 2 were, they were awful.
I mean, one thing I'm curious to see, though, too, is
like he had a bad game in Game 3, Bishop.
Rene's been solid. He's been really good. And last night he got pulled. So, in the first period. That's something I get it. They were just getting destroyed. Yeah, I get why they pulled him, Not to say that a lot of the goals were his fault. I mean, Dallas was just on a tear. Scoring on power play, just getting pucks to the net. So I'm interested to see how he responds actually in the next game. Think it hurt his confidence a little bit? I doubt it. I know it looks pretty good in the playoffs.
Time will tell, because look what happened against Winnipeg last year. The games that he lost, he played miserable. So,
yeah, I mean, right now I feel like that might be the difference in this series. Is like who could play better in goalie.
And honestly, it's pretty close, but I don't know. I can't really trust either goaltender, knowing what's happened the last couple of years.
Well, if I was a Dallas fan, I'd be more concerned with Ben Bishop getting injured, to be honest, than his play.
Yeah, as much as we joke about that, it's the truth.
I mean, I feel like if Ben Bishop can stay healthy the whole series, that's why I picked Dallas. I don't know. I feel like they could be like a little sleeper pick. If they beat Nashville, that's a pretty big win. But if they beat Nashville, they're also going to have to be playing, the winner of St. Louis Winnipeg. So it's not going to be easy for them. But I'm also pulling for them too because
the Rangers first round pick, right?
Exactly. So the Rangers get a first round pick. So I'm all in on Dallas.
But
I like them.
We gotta hope Zook doesn't get injured though, because if he gets injured again,
oh yeah, I mean forget about it.
I mean, dude, part of the condition is him playing half the playoff games.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got to play at least half the playoff games up to the Western Conference Final. So if Dallas wins this series in 7, all we need them to do is win the next series, which is going to be an even steeper hill. Not kind of going off topic there, but I picked Winnipeg in 6. No, wow, I'm brain fart. I picked Nashville in 6. But
I took Dallas. I know that.
Dude, this series can go either way now. Because both teams are pretty defensive. Both teams you've seen already this series of both goalies having at least one awful game.
It's true.
It's all going to come down to who can save the more pucks in high danger situations.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I feel like I don't know. It's interesting to see because I mean, Nashville has a lot of good players on defense, but I feel like in terms of I think their defensemen are a little bit more offensive than
Nashville,
Dallas.
yeah, absolutely.
So that I like. I think that favors Dallas in a way. I just feel like it's so goddamn hard to get pucks like from the point to the net. I feel like everything just gets blocked. But I think we nailed it right on, man. I think it's going to come down to the goaltending, to be honest. But we'll see. I mean, if Dallas can come out and win that next game, they put themselves in pretty good position.
Oh, it's going to be interesting to see. All right.
The playoffs so far have been absolutely insane, though. It's so much fun to watch.
Oh, dude, I was getting so happy watching the Columbus sweep. Like, I tried to watch as much of that series as I could.
Honestly, I couldn't even watch it. It was like it was good, but at the same time, it was just like the games weren't even close, so I couldn't even like watch it, dude. I mean, I still did, but like I wasn't nearly. I honestly think I enjoyed the Islanders series more.
I tried to watch. Literally, I was only watching that series when it was the only one on, which wasn't much. So.
Well, there was a funny. I'm sure you saw the whole thing with Hornquist and Leonard.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
We forgot to bring that up. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
they got into it.
That was pretty funny. Not gonna lie. No, because dude, Leonard basically took his stick, swung it at Hornquist, and then what did you expect them to do? Nothing.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I got to say one thing from a Capitals perspective. I mean, I don't want to disrespect the Islanders here, but I mean, listen, if you're the Capitals, out of all the goddamn teams that you could have played in the playoffs for these first two rounds, if you beat Carolina, you're going to be playing the Islanders next. I mean, listen, I don't know if you'd rather play the Islanders than like somebody on the other side of the bracket.
No, the Capitals lucked out.
I mean, they definitely lucked out in a way. But we'll see, though, because, listen, if there's anybody that knows the Capitals' weakness, considering they beat Carolina, it's going to be Barry Trotz. So that's an interesting matchup.
Yeah, yes, it is. Honestly, kind of looking forward to that, but at the same time, like Vegas and Colorado, most likely, like I'm gonna watch as much of that series as I can.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome, and plus it's the late game too, so there's gonna be nothing else on.
Yeah, basically.
One thing I got to be honest with, I'm pulling for, even though I would hate to see the Islanders go this far, but how awesome would it be if we saw Eastern Conference Finals Islanders Toronto? Wouldn't that be epic?
I mean, for you.
I mean, I know you don't like Toronto either, but come on, you're gonna tell me you would not want to see John Tavares knock the Islanders out of the playoffs? That'd be awesome.
All right, good point.
That's one thing I would love to see. And if the Islanders beat them, yeah, it would be awful because they make the Stanley Cup. But still, that'd be sick. Because those games would be out of control.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But what's another thing I forgot to bring up with the Islanders is that now they're not playing those games at Nassau Coliseum anymore. They're gonna have to go back to Barclays, which sucks.
Yeah, which in itself is pretty stupid. But there was a lot of mess ups in that whole arena situation.
I mean, listen, I'm not an Islanders fan, but that kind of sucks. Not that the fans are going to not come out and rally, but that arena does not have the same appeal as Nassau Coliseum for them. So that might be the difference next series. Well, we'll see. You don't want to talk too far ahead.
All right.
Plus, we have to see what happens here because I don't count Carolina out yet.
All right, just because
if it was 3-1, I would say okay, yeah, but it's 2-1 still, so it can go either way.
Yeah, true. All right, just we're nearing the end of the episode. We're going on like an hour 5 minutes already. I remember you wanted to bring up one thing before we ended the episode. It was the handshake line between Columbus and Tampa.
Well, there was two things with Columbus that I thought were kind of interesting. Well, one, you had Seth Jones doing the broom before the game started. So the confidence was obviously pretty high. I don't know if you saw that clip.
No, I didn't actually. I would have loved it.
Seth Jones was literally talking about, like, he's like, sweep, like, we'll get the Bruins out, like, sweep. And he was using his stick, like, as a broom. Like, he had the stick flipped upside down. So you got that, nice. And then you have Panarin smiling and laughing in Kucherov's face, which I thought that was kind of like, that was a little bit of a dickhead move. Let's put it that way.
Hey, dude, I looked at it this way. They're boys off the ice. And
still,
if we were there, we would have did the same thing to each other, except if I was Kucherov, I would have just gave you a handshake instead of trying to refuse it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel. I thought about it from that perspective as well. Like, they're both Russian. And at the same time, like, your boy literally just took, like, the hardest loss of his career. Like, damn. Like a handshake would have been laughing in his face. Like that was a little
that's
bit.
definitely not the hardest loss of his career. It's probably a big realization of like, holy crap, like
That's true.
we need to step our game up. But it
That's
definitely
true, though.
wasn't the
You're right.
biggest loss.
I'm interested to see with Columbus, man. Like I feel like it's easy for me to like see those clips and be like, oh yeah, now they're just cocky. Like they definitely have a pretty good reason to feel pretty good about themselves, but
Dude,
at the same time,
they outplayed Tampa in pretty much every aspect that series.
But let's not forget, like Columbus, slow down. It's literally your first playoff series you've ever won.
Dude, I would be just as
franchise.
hyped as them.
Yeah, but at the same time, don't like overblow it out of proportion. Like I don't want to see them get like cocky and then they think they're hot shit and then they just get smoked. And then they have to come to the realization like, okay, yeah, you know what? Now our team's screwed because now we're going to lose half of our roster to off-season free agency.
Hey, dude, they're all in.
I mean, they're all in at this point. Like, it's either going to be the greatest thing they ever did or it's going to be the stupidest thing ever.
Hey, I would love to see Columbus win it all, go on a Cinderella run. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it would be pretty sick.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see them win over anyone else.
In the East, do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all know we don't want the Islanders winning.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
Washington just won theirs.
Yeah, I mean, every team that's left in the playoffs right now, to be honest with you, I'd rather see Vegas win.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm just like, all right, Vegas, you're a second year in. Columbus has been in the league 20 years now. They just won their first playoff series. Like, I'd rather just see them go on a run.
That's true.
And honestly, I'd rather see the Blues win over the Knights, just because like they haven't won yet either.
I mean, listen, if Columbus can get out of the next round,
they're putting themselves in a pretty damn good position to win.
They proved to me that they're pretty elite.
Dude, they got playoff guys.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they got a lot of. To me, it's whether or not guys like Panarin can keep it up. Because you're talking about a guy that himself, that's literally the first playoff series he's ever won too. So he played pretty good. Not that, and when he played with Chicago really just didn't do anything. They got 2 first-round exits, right, with Panarin on the team.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but
I believe they lost
think you're right.
in the first round both times.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I'm interested to see how Columbus plays next round.
Yeah,
whenever that's going to be. It's probably going to be like a week or so from now.
Yeah, approximately. And we will be here for it.
Yeah. So.
And that is the episode number 13 of Backup Blueshirts.
No, 12.
Wow, I'm stupid.
Jeez, you are continually went on like a tangent about who was number 12 on the Rangers.
You want to know why? Because I clicked 13. I'm on a page on Hockey Reference for numbers, and I clicked 13 by accident, so that's why.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this episode is dedicated to Phil Esposito, Don Maloney, Eddie Olczyk, Jesper Fast, and not any of the other guys. They didn't do much.
And Eric Stahl.
No, I'm not going to dedicate this episode to him, even though I like him. Terrible tenure with the Rangers, even though it was literally like 20-something games. Next episode, though, I have a feeling you're going to piss me off with this. But
No, don't worry. I got a good one for you.
And I think I know exactly who it is, too, which is exactly why I'm going to be pissed off.
Nope. It's a guy that you didn't even watch on the Rangers.
Okay.
Because you weren't even watching hockey at that point.
Okay, good. All right, well, that's Backup Blueshirts, episode 12. I have been your host, Mike Sparacino, a.k.a. Shades. You've been also listening to my co-host, the infamous Brendan Mulroy, a.k.a. Mulgoon.
A.k.a. the Big Goon. I don't know if you were going to say it. I actually like it when you say it better. I feel weird when I say it.
All right, note taken for future episodes. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to give us a follow on Twitter, at BackupBluePod, would be very much appreciated. We plan on hopefully putting out some good summer content when the season's over, but I'm definitely going to be tweeting a lot for the rest of the playoffs and just help our channel grow and, make it big if we make it that far. What do you think?
I hope we go big time,
Hey, it'd be nice.
That's right.
Thank you very much for listening. We'll talk to you next week.